Hey y'all, it's my review for the Real Housewives of New Jersey, episodes 8 and 9. I'm sorry, Jersey fans, I'm catching up, forgive me. So we open this episode, it is the day after Melissa's party at her shore house. Everyone's recovering, and we see in the different houses, people start gossiping already. Starting with Jackie, and she's telling the group about what Jennifer told her about her marital problems. Now, when I saw in the last episode, when Jennifer was kind of drunk and kind of confided in Jackie, I was like, Jackie don't give a damn. She's just taking advantage of Jennifer being drunk to get tea out of her. We found that the event for the day is like a brunch gathering at Rachel's shore house. We're at Jennifer's now, and Danielle is going off about feeling disrespected by the other ladies. I thought I made myself clear the first time. Like, girl, nobody is afraid of you. Like, she really thinks she's Drita from Mob Wives. And speaking of Danielle, we're back at Melissa's, and she's the topic of their conversation. Melissa's even mocking Danielle and how she talks, just proving that Melissa doesn't give a damn about Danielle, and she's just stirring the pot, her and Jackie. The entire group continues to question Danielle about her fallout with her brother, which personally, I think y'all heard my opinion before, that I think she's just gassing that story up so she can have something in common with Teresa. We're going back and forth between houses, and now Team Teresa is trying to paint Rachel as a shit starter in the group. And then Teresa's saying that Mark is trying to make her feel bad by not inviting Melissa's mom to the wedding. I mean, you should feel bad because it was intentional on your part. We then cut to Team Melissa, and Mark is telling her what, Teresa relayed about her mom not being invited. And of course, Melissa's pissed. Also, side note, Dolores is confessional. Like, she looks refreshed, and she definitely looks like a black woman. That is Black Dolores. I'm so mad I didn't meet her at BravoCon. She was one of the, people on Jersey I wanted to meet. I think the only people I met from Jersey I met Margaret. That was the only person I met on Jersey. Anywho, so everyone continues their gossiping, and now we get to the off-camera drama. Pizzagate. Lord have mercy. I've been hearing this on social media. I don't know. This is a back and forth between Teresa's family and Melissa's family. I'm almost tired of it. And then I hear about the Dina situation that was brought up in the next episode. We'll get to that. But Pizzagate, basically, Joe and Louie, they were getting together on a business venture. I think it was Joe's idea. So Louie, he came in as an investor, and then Teresa's sneaky ass, she came in, I think it was a pizza oven business or an actual pizza restaurant. But then Teresa kind of slapped her name on the project, and Joe was told that Teresa and her daughters was on the photo. It had nothing to do with Joe. So then Joe felt some type of way. He confronted Louie about it, and then Teresa was barking at him, you need to put up the $250K because you're just going to get 5%. Joe was saying that the $250K wasn't a big deal to him, but he just felt backstabbed because this was his idea. Now, who do I believe? I believe Joe. Both sides were saying that they weren't going to bring this up on the show, but of course it came up. What's also fascinating is both sides are saying they weren't going to bring it up because it was going to make the other side look bad in the argument. I would love to know, who do y'all believe in this situation? But apparently that was the reason that kickstarted the beef all over again. Lord, now here we go with Melissa's tears. They're just not believable to me because I think she hates Teresa just as much as Teresa hates her. Her crying, oh my God, I just can't believe this is happening all over again. I just don't think she cares about Teresa that much. I think she cares about how it affects Joe. So next scene, we jump right to Rachel's gathering, and they're all setting up. Half the ladies are there, and here go Jackie again talking about Jennifer's business, and this time saying that her and Bill are unhappy, they're fighting over how the kids should be raised, and she's telling this to Dolores, and I'm like, why are you even telling Dolores? Dolores don't even F with her. The gossiping continues when Melissa arrives, and then the topic changes to why Teresa didn't invite her mom to the wedding. Speaking of that, Team Teresa arrives, and all the ladies are together now as they're exchanging fake pleasantries. Oh God, so now Jennifer's trying to make nice with Dolores now? What happened to all them things you called her? So now you feeling the change of heart? So then we see Marge now talking to Danielle, and they go off to the side to have their one-on-one. Danielle seems to be mad at Rachel for repeating what she said and making her look messy, but you were being messy. And then she calls Rachel over, and Rachel's like, girl, you said that. So Danielle tries to defend herself, but she was not ready for Margaret. Like, she sounds dumb telling her she heard from her ex-friend she has all this stuff on the ladies when she's solely going on gossip she heard from Teresa and Jennifer. She continues looking stupid by saying conversating, and then she tries to put Rachel on the spot saying, well, you were saying stuff too. Rachel was like, well, what did I say? Danielle couldn't say anything because Rachel didn't say anything wrong. You were the one like trying to talk about Margaret and so busy trying to be on Team Teresa. Oh, and then Margaret checks Danielle and just walks away to refill her water. I know that's right, like she was not ready. I just know she's embarrassed and she's just looking at Rachel like she mad at her. Rachel like, I mean, that's what you said. So the party continues and we see Jackie talking to Dolores about Frank and how he's feeling. Dolores don't want to hear any parts of it. I'm with her. Like, why is everybody concerned about Frank's feelings? She brought up a good point in her confessional. All those ladies was chastising her a few seasons ago about having a man that's treating her right, and now she has one and now they're concerned about Frank? Fuck out of here. Frank and Dolores are not getting back together, and they never were. Like, Dolores been nipped that in the bud a few seasons ago. So we cut to Teresa and Louis talking to Jen Fessler, and I swear every time I see Louis, I roll my eyes, and he looks like such a tool in this Balmain shirt that Teresa, I'm sure, made him wear. Her dumbass is still trying to justify why she didn't invite Melissa's mom to the wedding over some shit that happened, 10 years ago on social media? So Jackie overhears them because the proximity is literally like, I want to say like a foot between them. Like they can hear each other. So she's coming to the other ladies and she just doesn't think it's right. So then Louis the Lobster comes over and grabs Melissa's hand and says, oh, can we talk one-on-one? Please, can we talk? We can see her getting increasingly annoyed by this, and she tells the ladies that if Melissa has a problem with her, she can address her herself. Child, so the whole cast is together now, so Danielle takes this opportunity to confront Jackie about her comments on her story about her brother. Jackie then says she just feels like there's more to the story, and Danielle says there isn't, period. And she says, why am I being villainized? And I feel like you're not being villainized, but your story just doesn't add up. So you block your brother on social media and now he wants nothing to do with you? Like, it just doesn't sound plausible. I mean, we see some of the ladies agreeing with Jackie. It just feels like there's more to the story. And then she just starts having a temper tantrum and then she kind of just storms off. Rachel goes after her to try to get her to stay, but she leaves the party. It kind of felt like she thought Teresa and Jennifer was going to go running behind her, but no, sweetie, you're not that important. You're still new. Know your position. So she just leaves the party and it continues without her. I really didn't think it made sense for her to leave. It just makes you look crazy because now you don't want to confront people when they're questioning you about your story. We cut to Margaret. She's saying this is ridiculous. Jackie says she don't give a fuck. We cut to Margaret's confessional, and I think this is one of the best confessionals I've seen this year. She says, well, Danielle's been talking about me nonstop. You don't see me leaving the party in a huff. Since you're so busy talking to Teresa and Jennifer about me, how about I go up to your brother and your sister-in-law and get some information on you? And then I can put it in my arsenal. I was like, you better save that, Margaret. When I tell y'all I was cackling, because you know Margaret would do it just to expose her ass. That was basically Margaret's version of you fuck around and find out. Don't test me. So we get back to the party. I honestly do not find the husbands that interesting, like their meathead behavior. We come back to the other ladies. Rachel is saying that she feels bad that Danielle left, but it looks like Jennifer and Teresa's kind of coming for her and like talking shit. But then instead of caring about Danielle, they immediately make the situation about them. Like they don't give a fuck about Danielle, clearly. Like Jennifer, like she's just gonna be up Teresa's ass. And now Teresa's talking about, everyone talking about her not inviting Melissa's mom. Now here we go. Everyone's trying to calm down Teresa, trying to make sure she's okay. I'm so tired of this merry-go-round. Ooh, Rachel, side note, your confessional and this ghost makeup, maybe it's the cameras and the HD or whatever, but this is so distracting, y'all. She's almost giving that Morticia Addams, like in the Addams Family movie where the spotlight was just like right here and that's all you saw. So then Teresa makes a beeline to Louis and Melissa talking. She interrupts their conversation by telling Melissa, oh, I heard you have a problem with me, like with my mom. I'm hearing from Jackie and all the other women. Louis now is trying to calm down Teresa, like, Teresa, you're ruining a moment. You're ruining the moment. Like, I'm not sure this is genuine on Louis' part or if he's just trying to make himself look like a peacemaker. matchmaker, but now him and Teresa are going back and forth. Yeah, I'm not buying it, but then he successfully shoos Teresa away and continues talking to Melissa. So now Joe Gorga joins the conversation, so it's them two talking to Louis now. He's telling them now that he would love for Melissa's mom to come to the wedding. Like, this is all Teresa's fault. Like, all she had to do was just invite Melissa's mom in the beginning. But like she said, it was intentional. But here she go inviting people like Ramona, Chanel Ayan from Dubai, who she just met, and I think she invited Margaret's mom too. So clearly it was a swipe at Melissa because she just don't fucking like her. We come back to the other ladies. Teresa's still going on a tangent about Melissa, how it's all her fault, like the drama between her and her brother. She has daddy issues. Now that was a low blow on Teresa's part because I'm sure her and all the other ladies know that she lost her dad at an early age. Jackie then interrupts her and says, "That's not nice, Teresa." And then Teresa just goes off on Jackie. "Jackie, shut the fuck up. Get out of my face." And here is the real Teresa. Now all Margaret trying to do is trying to calm the situation down. I don't know. Like, at least I'm glad Jackie called Teresa out on that. Jackie's been a shit stirrer and a little bit of a bitch this season, but she is the only one, I will give her credit, that will call Teresa out on her shit. And here go Teresa again. "You're pissing me the fuck off because you're getting involved in my family." Teresa, you've involved everybody in your family business, so don't go off on Jackie because she called you out on your cruel ass comment. Teresa saying someone needs therapy is comical. So Melissa gets up from the conversation with Louis to see what the ladies are talking about. We're still with Louis talking to Joe, and I totally forgot about this part when he said that with your 4 nieces, I wear your father's pajamas at night to make them feel comfortable. Now, Lord, I totally just forgot about this weird ass moment. Y'all, I think I would have blacked out. I would have blacked out. Me just knowing what grief feels like and you're throwing that in my face about my father that just passed, like I would black out and then I would wake up in the back of a cop car. Yep. Not only is that strange, but it's also disrespectful. Why are you telling him that? Joe, I think, was so blindsided and taken aback, like he couldn't even react in time before Teresa came over to check on them. So now it's Louis in between Teresa and Joe talking it out. Oh, here this chick goes again. "Joe, if you would have called me and told me to just invite your mother-in-law, I would have did it. You should have just invited her in the first place. Don't put it on them." Quintessential throw the rock and hide your hand Teresa. She's too stupid to play stupid. So as Teresa's trying to defend herself on the mother-in-law situation, Joe says it goes back further than that. When you decided not to have Melissa in your wedding, I talked to Gia as well as Louis for you to just reconsider, change your mind, keep the peace, and you did nothing. And that's why I'm just so mad at you. And then all Teresa can say is, "Well, I'm mad at you too." And Teresa says she's mad at him because of last season, because they didn't come to her defense when Margaret was coming at her, which I'm sure she was the antagonist in that situation. Just so many contradictions because you're mad at them for not defending you against Margaret, but when Jennifer came at them, your lackey, you agree with Jennifer. And of course, when Teresa's called out on something, when she's backed into a corner, she's like, "Oh, I'm done, I'm leaving. Fix it! This has just turned into a spectacle now. You have everyone at the party now in the backyard just paying attention to this fight. So now Joe is involved in the back and forth now. He's tired of the bullshit, so he gets up. Louis says something smart, and then he tells him to shut the fuck up, and him and Melissa are now on their way out the party now. "Jennifer, I don't want to hear you in confessional defending Teresa. Your head is so far up this woman's ass. How does her ass taste, Jennifer? How does it taste?" So now Margaret and Rachel joins Louis and Teresa on the couch. Teresa's like, "Margaret, this is because of you." Really? Margaret's trying to calmly talk to Teresa, and Teresa isn't getting it. Louis says, I'm tired of this, Teresa. I'm tired of it. I can't take it." So it looks like Joe and Melissa can't leave because Louis' car is blocking them. Joe comes back to the party and asks Louis to move his car, but then he sees them talking to Margaret, so then he was like, "Oh, you're talking to Margaret now? But it was fuck Margaret earlier, right?" So now Louis trying to trying to keep the peace, but then Joe is being Joe, trying to dance with Louis, and Louis is like, "Chill out, man. I'm gonna punch him. I have nothing to lose." And I hate how production was trying to make it seem like they were about to fight, because they don't. But then Joe goes up to him like, "What you gonna do? what you gonna do? Because Joe is like, what, 5'6", 5'5"? But then Louis like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So then they go back up so he can move his car. That drama's over. That was such a fake out production. I was expecting hands to be thrown. Fuck y'all for that. I'm tired of this already. Are y'all tired of this? So now Teresa's talking to Margaret, trying to justify this situation. Margaret's talking to her like a crazy person, just trying to get her to calm down. And then we see Louis pleading with Melissa and Joe to make things right, but they're not falling for the bullshit this time around. We cut to Margaret telling Teresa, do you really want this for your family? Like your nephews and nieces not interacting with each other, like missing out on memories? I think Teresa could give a fuck less, honestly. So then we cut to Melissa and Joe pulling off, and that is where the episode ends. We then see the mid-season trailer, which I thought was alright. But let's get to episode 9. So this episode opens, we get a montage of what some of the ladies are doing. We're with Dolores at Paul's house, and she's just updating him on what happened on the Jersey Shore trip. She's also telling him about Frank and how he's been feeling lately, how they've been distant, and this is the first year that he hasn't stayed at the Shore house. Paul says he wouldn't have felt comfortable staying at Frank's Shore house. And he also brings up that Frank has a girlfriend of his own, and Frank's relationship with Dolores, it was cool, but it's done. And then Dolores actually points out to Paul that he's close with his ex-wife, but then Paul comes back and says, well, my ex-wife doesn't stay with my ex-girlfriend, which he has a point, and his ex-wife doesn't call 3 times a day. They quickly cut to Dolores' confessional and she says, oh, she calls a lot. I'm just hoping Frank's situation doesn't mess up Dolores' current relationship, because she deserves somebody. They're going back and forth now. Dolores saying that Frank doesn't like change, and Paul sees it as like Frank wants this relationship because he knows he fucked up. But Dolores is saying it's definitely not like that. It's not a possibility that they would ever get back together, and he knew he made a mistake 25 years ago. Yeah, I think if they wanted to get back together, they could have been gotten back together. And I think he did her so dirty that Dolores was done with him. But she kept a friendly relationship with him because of the kids. Dolores says she's going to have a sit down with Frank to talk things out, as well as have a sit down with Jennifer instead of giving her a beat down. Now, I'd rather see the latter, but okay, Dolores, for moving forward. I see Dolores. She's feeling pity on Jennifer, just how Margaret felt pity on Jennifer to make up with her last season. So next scene, we're with Rachel and her husband. The topic of conversation is, of course, her probably wanting more kids, even though she just had a kid 4 months ago on this timeline. And then they're talking about his son from a previous marriage and how she's interested in adopting him, and just saying how the birth mother might have something to say about it, even though the birth mother, how she's talking about her, like, must be a terrible mother to say that the best thing for the child is for his birth mother not to be present. So yeah, something must be going on. Like she must be a drug addict or in jail or something. But yeah, it looks like her plot line is going to be her trying to adopt his son. So next scene, we're with Jennifer and Dolores meeting up for their one-on-one over lunch. Now here go Jennifer talking about her friendship with Dolores and why it went sour. It's because of Margaret. Again, another situation that they're blaming Margaret for I'm guessing, outing Bill's infidelity. She wanted Dolores to call Margaret out and be more so on her side. Well, I feel like Dolores is just saying, well, you did things too in this situation, just holding her accountable as well. Like, Dolores isn't your husband. She'll call you out on the shit you're accountable for too. So they're not talking about their fallout. And as Jennifer's talking, I'm just rolling my eyes. Last year was just such a hard year for me, and you were so close to Margaret. I just wanted you to have my back. This woman is 40 years old. This is some high school shit. I'm sorry, Dolores. I wouldn't want Jennifer as a friend. So they agreed to a truce, and moving forward, Dolores says she'll watch how she talks to her, and Jennifer will call her out on something that bothers her. So now they're in a friendly space. Here go Jennifer with her woe is me, my marriage dialogue. Girl, get a divorce, please. If you were going through this and it's miserable, you tired of this man, just leave. I'm tired of this conversation, but I will say that lasagna they're eating looks very good. So now they're talking about all the drama going on in the group, and it's Jennifer's idea to hold an event where all the ladies are invited. She's going to get a psychic that Teresa knows that reads fortunes through coffee cups. Haven't we seen this before? I'm sure we've seen this on a reality show before. I just can't remember which one. So next scene, we're with Melissa and her daughter. They're looking over the new house that's being built for them. I'm guessing Joe is involved in it. All I can think about immediately in this scene is, why doesn't Melissa and her daughter have hard hats on? Isn't that like a safety issue? This is like, what, their third or fourth house? They're reminding me of Toya and her husband on Married to Medicine. So then Melissa's talking about she's having a pop-up soon and she's inviting Danielle to be a part of it because she's doing like kid clothes or whatever. They're talking about how she always storms out of everything. And meanwhile, we're with Danielle now. So then she gets a FaceTime from Teresa and she's saying she's not feeling well, especially after confronting Melissa. Of course, bring Melissa into it. But then she finds out that she has COVID. So it looks like Teresa is not going to be in this episode. Y'all know I don't mind that. So now Teresa's giving Danielle her version of what happened between her brother and Melissa. Oh my God. So then Teresa says after Louis was talking to Melissa and Joe when they pulled off at the party, he came back, he was crying. We see the flashback. I cannot. I really cannot. We come back to Melissa and Joe and they're talking about Louis crying. They heard it from Margaret. Joe is like, why? It's his wife that's the problem. And I actually agree with Joe, which is kind of taking me aback a little bit, but he's saying this whole Louis being a peacemaker thing, he thinks it's fake. Definitely. Like, there's two sides to Louis, and look, it's gonna come out sooner or later. Like, still, I give him and Teresa 3 years max. Ooh, so it looks like Dina's name has come up in the situation. She's a headline now. And it looks like she won't be attending Teresa's wedding. And according to Joe, it's because of a fallout between Louis and Dina's husband. Now, it's coming out in the press that Joe was lying, and then Dina got on YouTube saying that that's not the reason. Go and look at it because I don't really care about Dina. I think Dina's one of the most overrated housewives of all time if we're keeping it 100. We come back to Teresa talking to Danielle, and this is exactly what she's doing that she said she didn't want in the last episode. Like, I want these people to stay out of my business. Well, you're inviting people in. Here go Danielle again. Rachel is the bad guy in this situation because you were being messy. Now, she's telling Teresa this. Teresa looks so disinterested hearing her talk about that. All right, so next scene is the day of the coffee reading event. It's being held at Paul's house on Dolores' behalf. It basically feels like Dolores lives there. And side note, I finally see black people on the show, but unfortunately, they're the catering service. I gotta say, Paulie has a very nice house. It's really modern. I don't blame Dolores. I'd be there all the time. So Margaret arrives, and we notice that she doesn't speak to Jennifer. And also, all the ladies are arriving. They all love Dolores's man's house. And they're saying she hit the jackpot. I mean, that house is very impressive. And also, Melissa's pointing out in her confessional that her last boyfriend, David, built her a house, as well as Frank. And now she's in a different house. So Melissa's messy ass, she calls out the elephant in the room, asking, why is Dolores and Jennifer throwing a party together? So then Dolores gives her the background, saying that they came to a truce. She wanted everybody to attend, but, she didn't want everybody in her house, so Dolores is having it at hers. So most of the ladies are there. I think the only one missing is Danielle. They're asking where she is, and then they bring up, the whole story about her brother now. And coincidentally, here she is arriving. And Jesus, like, Paulie, why is he so red? Between him and Louis, it's like a roasted pig and a red lobster. Lord have mercy. So now all the ladies are there, with the exception of Teresa because she has COVID. And they have an announcement to make. Dolores and Jennifer, the new besties. It looks like we see in a flashback that Teresa invited them to be bridesmaids in her wedding. Wow. And Melissa, judging by the look on her face, I'm sure feels a way about it. Already she's calling bullshit by telling Dolores, like, you weren't even at her engagement party. And I think the whole thing was, like, she didn't go because Dina was there. And also, I think Dina isn't in the wedding, so now Dolores is. We cut to production asking Dolores about her relationship with Dina, and she doesn't want to talk about it. So they're all seated at the dinner table. Danielle is seated right next to Margaret. Like, it's pretty awkward because last time they all saw her, she stormed out of the party. She keeps saying in her confessional she's about to give people the business, but still, I'm waiting on it. She is all talk and no action. Okay, so now there's another announcement by Dolores, and we hear that they're going to Ireland for the cash trip. Finally, they are going outside of New Jersey and not going to that goddamn shore. So yeah, I'm sure the next 3 episodes will be dedicated to that. I wonder if the husbands are going. Of course the husbands are going. So now enter the psychic reading. They're about to all like sip their coffee and get it read. So far it's positive readings such as Dolores has a ring in her future. I mean, look, that'll guarantee her 2 more seasons when she becomes a wife. Oh, and then with Frank in the picture too, yeah. Hopefully that's coming up. Also, side note, Margaret in this confessional, why is she dressed like a fairy godmother? Okay, so now the jig is up with the psychic. She gets to Margaret, and it just so happens she's talking about her ex-friend, who just so happens to be cool with Jennifer. She's saying very, very specific things, like name begins with an L, a knife in the back. A bunch of the ladies, as you can see on their faces, they're trying not to laugh because it's too obvious. Jennifer probably talked to her in advance, or maybe Teresa. Hell, even production, because I'm not putting it past them either. Oh Lord, and here we go again with Jennifer's reading. Like, she's using specific verbiage, the psychic, what Margaret told her about endorsements or something, and now the ladies are laughing again. It's just like, come on now. Margaret and Jackie at this point just call out the psychic and said, well, did you have a conversation with Jennifer before this? And Jennifer's like, Margaret, really? After that little back and forth, she continues, and now it's Danielle's turn. And of course she's like, oh, well, I feel there's something going on between you and your brother. Let's get to the end of the episode. We have like 4 minutes left, y'all. So then the psychic tells her that her and her brother will make amends eventually. And then Jackie adds in, I hope that's true for you. And Danielle's like, do you? And then this opens up the can of worms to the conversation again, involving whether she's telling the truth or not about her brother. It seemed like this conversation has gone ad nauseum, and Melissa says, you know what, we'll put a period on it, we'll believe you. And then Danielle explains why she left the other day, and then she points to Rachel and says, well, you blindsided me, and then y'all talking about my brother, it was a 1-2 KO and I had to leave. So now her and Rachel are going back and forth about her throwing her under the bus again. Do y'all notice that this is the 3rd conversation where Margaret is said to be the catalyst for the disagreement between 2 people? It was Dolores and Jennifer, Melissa and Joe and Teresa, and now Rachel and Danielle. It's too much. Danielle sounds stupid right now that she's mad at her for going to Margaret. It's just so stupid. Like, can we just move on? Because now it looked like Margaret and Jennifer about to get into it. Jennifer's laughing as she's sipping her drink. I forgot to mention that the psychic Ben got up when they started arguing. And then now Dolores stands up and says, I love y'all, but get out. Apparently all the ladies are hot too. Like, where's the air conditioning in this beautiful house? Oh, so all the ladies leave, and that is where the episode ends, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all thought about these 2 episodes. Again, I am not Team Teresa in any regard. I actually loved this episode without Teresa in it. I was fine with it. But yeah, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see y'all for the next episode. Bye.